Hey all, today I'm sharing my experience about having and using an ergonomic keyboard. So a while back, I've had a bit of wrist pains. I've been having some forearm pains. I remember it's quite prominent when I used to play esports games. I was playing CS, CS:GO, CS2, quite a lot and quite intensively, dare I say, right? Most of the time I'd be programming as well, and I don't think my ergonomic setup was all that well. Now I have a decent chair with the armrests that are lining up with the desk. The desk is a standing desk, so I can put it up, do all that good stuff. The problem is the way that I kind of always kept my keyboard is on the desk, quite far in front of me. So my forearms would be resting on the desk, which would be creating this kind of pressure on the forearms, thus the pain, right? But I think that's kind of not necessarily the main reason why I was trying to switch to an ergonomic keyboard. So I've looked around, I've seen online people using these and claiming that they've never had any pains with this anymore. It was brilliant. This is the correct posture. You're kind of holding your hands in front of you, and you're aligned, and then maybe even if you put your mouse in the middle, like all of those good benefits, they were mentioning those constantly. And so I thought I would try it. I shopped around. I saw some Kinesis keyboards. I've actually seen someone use that in an actual office. They've had the old version, which is like a unibody single big keyboard with those very weird keys and the arrangement of them. So that's when I got kind of interested in it. But I looked around, I read reviews, and then I learned about the Glove 80. That's a keyboard that is designed by enthusiasts. The keyboard is made for enthusiasts. It's a really good keyboard. They have brilliant customization, good key switch choices. I've purchased it through their Discord. I found a guy who soldered specific key switches that I was interested in. It's the tactile sunset switches, but they have a nice feel. All of that, right? On top of that, I was considering learning a new layout as well, because people are saying if you get a new keyboard, especially it's an ergonomic keyboard, you can also put Dvorak, Colemak DH, Workman, any kind of layout that you would think of. So I did my research. Colemak DH seemed to be the best one. The single finger bigrams and all sorts of mathematics and science behind it, essentially. There were a lot of good signs that were leading to this layout being the optimal, especially with an ergonomic keyboard. So I purchased a keyboard. I was learning Colemak DH. I really don't want to say I was getting good at, because I spent a while trying to type on it and playing those, I think it's Rata type or KeyBR. There's one of those training tools where you can keep typing, and it introduces more and more letters and makes you write words. And I've been learning to use it. And eventually I tried switching over to it, because I said the only way to actually get learning something deeply, for example, a language, you have to immerse yourself in the country and the culture which speaks that language, so that you would, peel the Band-Aid and go straight in there. So I tried. I had it for a week or so. I, had it in front of me during my work hours, after work. I just felt so slowed down. I just felt like I have all the energy in me to go forwards, and my brain is running ahead of my actions, and I literally know what I need to do, but it was just so difficult and so hard to type out things. I just wanted to tell someone yeah, I'll be 1 minute late to the stand-up or whatever. It would just take longer to type that out than to even click a button to call the person, hop on the stand-up and tell them, hey, 5 minutes ago I was going to write a message about, being 1 minute late to the stand-up. It was that hard. I know the excuse is, skill issue. Fair enough. If you have the time to learn, it doesn't become a skill issue anymore. I just didn't have the time. I just needed to do so many things. I was running a business on the side where we were rapidly developing a lot of technologies. There was a freelance project that we were also working on. So we were building 2 to 3 apps at the same time, all the while I was working and doing my day job at the same time, where I also needed to type pretty quick. So all of that got in the way, and I realized that I'm probably not in the right place in life to actually be doing this. A lot of people who become enthusiasts are either someone who has a lot of time, spare income, let's say they like the idea of these keyboards, and they have the time, let's say they're in uni, and you really want to look cool and show to everyone that you have this, fancy keyboard, and you're typing it, and like you're the cool guy who knows how to like type in a different alternative layout than just QWERTY. And yeah, I think that's one category. The second category would be someone who has an actual medical issue. Like I was developing the forearm and wrist pains. I think it's RSI/carpal tunnel, knocking on the door, essentially saying, hey, you got to either change your ergonomics and learn the way to properly type and properly sit, or you're going to develop these. So I guess I just didn't get that severe with it that I had to switch over to this ergonomic lifestyle. Then eventually I pushed the keyboard to the side. I had it packed up in a box. It actually still is in a box. Like I'm trying to sell it. I've tried again. I said, okay, let me sit in front of the TV. Let's have an iPad on my lap, the keyboard to the side, and let's just practice. And I was like, I'd rather be, building an application. I'd rather be building software or something that I actually enjoy than just grinding this new layout on a different keyboard that I'm not familiar with. I've seen online, a lot of people are sharing similar thoughts in terms of this is going to be the most painful year of typing you're going to have. And I just looked at it and thought, it's a year, man. Like, I cannot take a year out of all of these jobs and programs and softwares that I'm creating, the writing that I'm doing, like everything. I just cannot afford that. So that's what happened. And then eventually I pulled the keyboard out and I said, let me switch to the QWERTY layout. Back to the most basic, again, the one that's supposedly very much non-ergonomic and not good for you. But let me do it. So I switched it to QWERTY layout. And I was like, surely I know how a QWERTY feels like. I can touch type. I'm not fast at it. I'm not too rapid. I'm not 100 words per minute god of typing or whatever. But I can get around, I can get around my way around the computers and operating systems. Actually, it doesn't matter what operating system. The point being, I switched to QWERTY and I tried it because I thought, maybe because I introduced 2 different concepts at the same exact time, 2 different unfamiliarities, things that I'm not familiar with, being both Colemak DH and an ergonomic layout, then most likely that was the issue. Turns out it wasn't quite the issue. The issue was that it literally, even the ergonomic layout introduction with QWERTY was already so unfamiliar and foreign to me that I couldn't learn that either. Because again, I assumed if I introduce both of them at the same time, and people were right, the internet says if you introduce that separation, you won't forget how to type with a QWERTY on a regular keyboard, and at the same time, you will have that separation. So as soon as you touch this ergonomic keyboard, you will know instantly that this is a different layout, and it'll be easier to switch back and forth because, again, there's no ergonomic keyboards on laptops, right? So you still have to know how to use a QWERTY. Regardless, skill issue, right? You can always go back to a QWERTY, fair enough. So I thought, let me just switch to the ergonomic whilst still using QWERTY. That didn't work either. So I just, I gave it my best shot. I feel like I would need to be completely obsessed about it if I wanted to actually switch over to that keyboard. I would need to be, the most enthusiastic about whatever the purpose is. The purpose would need to be either this is a medical device that I need to use because otherwise this is going to cause long-term problems, or I really want to look cool in front of others because that usually doesn't work. There are people who, have their setups and build the keyboards and then have the fanciest ever computer setups, but they don't really do anything with them. So anyway, that's my story. That's how I've tried an ergonomic keyboard, and I actually switched back. I felt defeated. I genuinely was beating myself up about it. It just because usually I'm a man of my word. I don't lie to myself. And I looked at that keyboard and I said, this is going to be the year, 2024, whatever. I'm going to finally learn something fully, properly, deeply. Like, this is going to be my thing. I almost promised to myself that I'm going to do this, and I didn't, and I felt really defeated about it. But then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't think I had a strong enough why. Because again, it all starts with why. You have to know exactly why you're choosing to do this and what benefit this is going to bring. So I think my why wasn't strong enough, and thus it ended up with me just keeping that keyboard in the closet right now, packed up in a box, listed up for sale. Yeah. If you have any stories to share about your experience with ergonomic keyboards, or how you've struggled to learn a new layout, or if you are literally typing your comment with an ergonomic keyboard and an alternative layout, I want to know about it. Let me know how you've gone around it, because it's been an extremely difficult experience for me, and I just was eventually defeated by it. I switched back. So I'm still using a pleb 10 keyless keyboard with a QWERTY layout. That's it for today. I'll catch you next time.